It might seem like there's never a good time to go to Disney World anymore, but that actually isn't true. I'm your Disney World wingman, and these are the best times to go to Disney World in 2026 and 2027. Section 1, the question everyone answers wrong. People ask the same question every year. When is the best time to go to Disney World? And every year the answers all sound the same. January's good, September's good, avoid the holidays, avoid the heat, pick a weekday, pick a weekend. It's noise. None of it tells you anything that actually helps you plan a real trip. Here's the truth. Disney World isn't random. The calendar repeats itself. Holidays push crowds in, school breaks stretch them out. Race weekends fill every hotel room. Weather shifts people between parks. Festival openings hit Epcot like clockwork, and when you line all of that up, you can see the exact weeks where crowds pull back. That's what we're doing here. We're building a forecast for 2026, and for those of you who are planning ahead, 2027. This isn't about vibes. This isn't guesses. This is a real forecast built on the dates that actually move people in and out of the parks. And when you lay out every holiday, every school break, every race weekend, every festival start date across both years, something very clear happens. There is 1 week in 2026 that rises to the top, and there is 1 week in 2027 that does the same thing, and they're not the same week. 2 weeks where everything lines up almost perfectly. I'm not giving you those weeks yet. You need to see how the calendar works first. Once you understand why the crowds move, the answer becomes obvious. So here's where we start. Section 2, the pressure points that decide everything. The first thing that decides whether a week at Disney World is calm or impossible is the holiday schedule. Holidays don't just spike crowds, they rearrange the entire month around them. Months around them. And in both 2026 and 2027, the placement of these holidays creates very clear pressure weeks and very clear release weeks. That's the foundation of our forecast. New Year's is the first spike. The crowds don't disappear on January 1st, they linger for almost a full week, sometimes up to 2 weeks. Martin Luther King weekend does the same thing. It's a 3-day weekend, but the surge spills into the following Monday and Tuesday. President's Day is even stronger. It pulls in families from all over the country, and when Mardi Gras overlaps with it, as it does in some years, that week becomes one of the biggest crowd events of the entire winter. Then spring arrives and the school calendar takes over. Spring break isn't a single week. It's a 5-week stretch where every district in America picks a different window. When Easter falls early, spring break drifts earlier. When Easter falls late, spring break stretches deep into April. In 2026, Easter lands on April 5th, which pushes the chaos into early April. In 2027, Easter lands on March 28th, which shifts the chaos earlier and compresses more schools into March. That change alone reshapes the best week of the entire year. Summer is simple. Once school lets out, the crowds surge and stay high until the second week of August. There's no mystery there, but the moment those schools go back into session, the parks open up instantly. September becomes one of the most consistent low-crowd months every single year. And then the cycle repeats. Thanksgiving week becomes one of the busiest weeks of the year, and Christmas week becomes the busiest week of all. Crowds spike, the parks hit capacity, and then, when those families leave, January becomes the reset. These holiday and school-driven spikes are the first layer of the forecast. They show you where the pressure is. They show you where the pressure isn't. And once you mark them on the calendar, the quietest pockets in both 2026 and 27 start to take shape. Section 3, the surges hidden in plain sight. Once you've marked the holiday and school breaks, the next layer of the forecast is the one that catches most people off guard. The race weekends and youth event blocks. These aren't small bumps. These are full property surges that fill in every hotel, pack every bus, and reshape the crowd flow for days, weeks at a time. It starts with Marathon Weekend. In both 2026 and 27, the first full weekend of January brings tens of thousands of runners, families, support teams, and spectators. They don't just visit for the day, they stay on property. That pressure doesn't just hit the parks, it hits the transportation system, the resort restaurants, and every deluxe, moderate, and value room on property. The week before and after Marathon Weekend always carries the aftershock. Then there's the Princess Half Marathon Weekend at the end of February. It's one of the most popular Run Disney events of the year, especially for families and large friend groups. Those groups book long weekends, extended stays, and multi-room blocks. The demand spills into the weekdays on both sides. When you plot this on the 2026 and 27 calendars, you can see the exact window where you do not want to be anywhere near the resorts. Springtime Surprise hits in April, and it does the same thing. It's positioned to close spring break, which means the calendar is already stretched thin. The race weekend lands right on top of it and pushes crowd levels even higher. In 2027, because Easter is early, Springtime Sunrise becomes even more disruptive. It hits in the middle of an already compressed March to April surge. And it's not just the races. Cheer, dance, volleyball, and youth sports fill the ESPN wild world of sports calendar. These groups fit entire teams into value and moderate resorts. They buy lightning lanes in bulk. They fill up quick service locations. Their schedules start early and end late. When these events line up with holidays or spring break, they become crowd multipliers. When you combine these race weekends and event blocks with holiday and school break spikes from Section 2, the rhythm of 2026 and 27 becomes unbelievably clear. You can see exactly which weeks are overloaded, which weeks have no hotel inventory left, and which weeks open up because the pressure finally dropped. Section 4, the months that always tell the truth. Once you've cleared out the holiday spikes, the school breaks, the race weekends, and youth event blocks, the calendar finally starts to show its natural shape. Certain months open up every single year, not because they're secret, but because the pressure around them falls in the same pattern over and over again. January is the first one. Not the first week, that's still packed with New Year's travelers and Marathon Weekend. But the moment those crowds leave, January becomes one of the calmest stretches of the entire year. Cool weather, lower humidity, shorter wait times. It's predictable, and when you map the 26 and 27 calendars side by side, that mid-January window stands out immediately. Early February behaves the same way. It stays calm until the week before President's Day, then jumps dramatically. But the first half of February is one of the most stable low-crowd periods you'll find all year. It benefits from mild weather, festival offerings, and no major school breaks. In both years, that window stays strong. May is another reliable month, especially early May. Spring break is ended, Easter's gone, and race season is over. Families with school-aged kids can't travel yet, and summer crowds haven't begun. The weather warms up, but the parks are steady. When you run the 2026 and 2027 dates through the same filters, early May holds its position both years. September is the most predictable low-crowd month of all. Once schools go back in session, Disney World opens up almost overnight. Prices drop, wait times drop, and the entire resort takes a breath after summer. The heat is still high, but from a crowd perspective, it's one of the clearest low points of both years. And then there's early December. Thanksgiving crowds leave, holiday decorations are up, and for a short window, the parks offer the full Christmas experience without the Christmas numbers. That window is tightened in recent years, but early December still consistently performs as one of the better crowd periods. Across 2026 and 2027, these months repeat the same pattern. Mid-January, early February, early May, September, early December. This is the month-level view of the forecast, a broad outline of when the parks generally settle down. But month-level insights only get you so far. To understand what specific week wins in these years, we now need to zoom in even closer and look at the patterns inside each week. Section 5, the days that quietly reveal the pattern. The calendar shows you the month. The daily patterns show you the time. You overlook this next layer and you lose the advantage of the perfect week you booked. The day of the week matters. The time of the day matters. These patterns repeat every year because human behavior is not random. Over in Magic Kingdom, the worst day used to be Monday. This hasn't been true in years. The new busiest day is Tuesday. The two best days are Friday or Sunday. Friday, locals stay away until evening. Sunday, weekend tourists leave midday. Magic Kingdom has one of the strongest nighttime drops. The last 90 minutes consistently run 30 to 40% lower than the daytime peak. That pattern seems to hold for both 2026 and 2027. Epcot is tied to festivals. Locals hit Epcot hard on Friday nights and Saturdays. Saturdays are the single worst day of the week, period. Sunday mornings are shockingly calm. Locals sleep in. The best overall weekend at Epcot is 5 p.m. through close on a weekday, especially Monday. The after-work crowd hasn't arrived. World Showcase fills slowly. The timing is consistent across both years. Hollywood Studios. This park has a different rhythm. It spikes early, crashes mid-afternoon, and rises again at night. Monday and Tuesday afternoons consistently see the biggest drop. Half-day guests leave around lunch. The best time to be in Hollywood Studios is 2 p.m. through 4:30 p.m. on one of those early weekdays. Animal Kingdom is the opposite. It peaks late. The best hours are the first 2 hours of the morning, 8 a.m. to 10 a.m. Flight of Passage, Safari's Everest, each one runs its lowest weights of the day within that window. Tuesdays are especially strong because weekend and Monday arrivals haven't built up enough pressure yet. That pattern is identical in both years. These weekly and daily patterns do not decide the single best week on their own. They explain why certain weeks perform better than others. Some weeks line up with the calmest drop-offs. Some weeks clash and lose their advantage. We have the month-level view, we have the day-level view. Now zoom in. We narrow the calendar to the single strongest week in 2026. Section 6, the Golden Week in 2026. Now we take everything we've mapped, holidays, school breaks, race weekends, festival patterns, day of the week behavior, and run it through the 2026 calendar. When you eliminate the pressure weeks one by one, the year starts to collapse inward until only a few visible windows remain. We start with January. The moment those runners leave, the resort resets. The crowds fall, the weather stabilizes, and the parks return to their lowest wait times of the winter. That mid-January window is the first real candidate for the top spot. February cuts itself in half. The first 2 weeks are excellent. Cool weather, Festival of the Arts, no major school breaks, but President's Day wipes out the back half of the month. That means only the early stretch is usable, and even then the lead up to President's Day always builds pressure. March and April are out. Spring break stretches 5 full weeks in 2026. Easter lands on April 5th, which pushes the heaviest travel into late March and early April. There is no clean week in this entire period. Even the gaps between the district schedules fill with families chasing festival openings and mild weather. Nothing here can compete with mid-January. May starts strong, and now that Big Thunder Mountain is confirmed to reopen in spring 2026, that window picks up even more pressure. Every major reopening pulls locals, bloggers, and resort guests into Magic Kingdom, and that ripple hits the surrounding weeks, especially early May. But even at its best, early May doesn't outperform the January reset. Summer is an automatic elimination. June through August stays consistently high, there is no surprise there. September drops sharply. Once Labor Day passes, school returns, and the parks open up instantly. September has some of the lowest crowds of the year, but the heat is intense, hurricane season peaks, and Food and Wine Festival pulls more local traffic than it used to. It's still one of the best months of 2026, but it doesn't beat the clearest week of all. Early December is strong. Thanksgiving crowds leave, the holiday begins, and for a short window, the parks offer the full Christmas experience without the Christmas crowds. But the resort fills earlier each year, and the pressure builds faster than it used to. When you compare every viable week side by side, January, early February, early May, September, early December, the pattern is unmistakable. 1 week sits in the cleanest pocket of the year. It has the best weather, the lowest pressure, the fastest nighttime drops, and none of the event disruptions that hit the surrounding windows. It's the week right after Marathon Weekend. And once you run the full forecast, that single week is obvious. The best week to go to Disney World in 2026 is January 13th through 19th. Now we take the same process and run it for 2027. Section 7, the Golden Week in 2027. This is where the calendar shifts in a way that makes the best week land somewhere completely different from 2026. One variable controls almost everything in early spring, the date of Easter, and in 2027, Easter falls on March 28th. That single placement reshapes the entire first half of the year. January begins the same way it always does. New Year's crowds run long, marathon weekends. We gave you this part before. February is where the pressure starts building early. That's because of President's Day. And then March hits and everything accelerates. Easter's early. School districts shift spring breaks with it. That means the spring break window doesn't run from mid-March to mid-April like most years. In 2027, it shifts forward and compresses tightly into March. Families who normally travel later are now traveling earlier. Districts that usually spread out are now overlapping. The result is one of the heaviest early spring break crowd spikes Disney will see this decade. There is only one clean gap before that wave begins. May behaves like it always does, calm to start, busier at the end. Summer's high, it's hot, yada yada yada. September is low, early December is strong, all consistent, but none of those windows outperform the one stretch in the entire year where the calendar is completely quiet. When you overlay every pressure point, Easter, spring break compression, President's Day, race weekends, and weather, it becomes obvious that the strongest week of 2027 is the last fully clean week before the crowd surge. The best week to go to Disney World in 2027 is March 1st through 7th. It sits in the last low-pressure pocket before spring break hits. The weather is mild. The festival crowds haven't built. The race weekend traffic hasn't started. Every pattern leans in your favor. And now that we've identified the best week in both years, we can show you the simple rule that makes these weeks so clear, and how to use that rule for any future year. The best week is always the first clean week after a major surge. When the holidays end, when the races end, when the school break ends, there is always a reset. That reset is where the lowest pressure weeks live, and that's the pattern you can use for every future year. If you made it to the end, go ahead and put this password in the comments below, and while you're down there, why not hit like and subscribe, and turn on notifications so you'll be the first to know when myself or one of my friends puts out a brand new video, something we do all week. Why? Because we're serious about fun. See you next time. Bye.